Open skilled sports are chaos. Your legs land in crazy positions. You're all over the place. And when you land in those precarious positions, you've got to know how to come out of them in a rapid manner. And we're gonna give you the best unknown exercises that are gonna unlock your speed potential. And we're gonna start right now. So how can we emulate those chaotic positions that we're gonna get into in those open skilled sports inside of our training? And that's where we're gonna go right into understanding chaos coordination. And we can start with something as simple as a depth drop and land on a unilateral position and land in a unilateral position and just start to understand when we land on one leg, how do we absorb this energy? How do we brace ourselves? How do we control ourselves? And then you can get even more creative where you land on one leg, pause, and then sprint out of that position. You could even land backwards. Think about basketball players, volleyball players, a lot of football players reaching backwards as they're about to grab something here and then jumping forward. So these are all really simple tasks that you can do, just cross myself up a bit much there, as means to improve your chaotic coordination. You're here and then you have to sprint out of that. So you can work through different depth drop positions. You can even do bigger depth drops where you jump here and land and jump forward. All of these different drills can help improve that grounding in chaotic situations. And if you add in a jump or you add in some speed, that's gonna lead to better performance out on the field specific to open skilled sports. We're gonna be giving away a free brand new logo shirt, and all you guys have to do to enter this giveaway is 1, comment down below. 2, make sure that all of your channel notifications are active. 3, show up to our Tuesday YouTube live where we're gonna talk about solving all of your issues around training. Now, the chaos of open skilled sports requires a large amount of strength in unilateral positions and in bilateral positions, but predominantly unilateral. Now, we've got to be able to express that strength through blast impulse and sustained impulse. That means putting out a large amount of force in a very short period of time. You need to be ready for those obtuse and acute angles that are going to lead to weird positions. We've got to be able to come out of these cuts. You need to be able to decelerate and accelerate as quickly as possible. And most importantly, even at that top end speed, we've got to be fast. So in open skilled sports, there's no clear pathway to achieving a touchdown or a shot or a goal, anything along those lines. Typically, we're gonna see someone or something, some type of obstacle in our pathway. Someone or something will be in our way out on the field. And this is a drill that I learned directly from Michael Drock Performance. Michael Drock's got unbelievable content out on Instagram, and this is one of those drills that I've learned from him that you can actually implement to improve that open skilled speed. And this is going to be a tennis ball, or in our case, a lacrosse ball drop. And all we have to do is set up cones in different manners. Now, if you have a coach or a partner, we want to start at a certain point with a cone. And then we want to have a place where we are going to conclude the drill. So that could be the theoretical end zone. That could be the theoretical defense person that we're going to try and get a catch over top of. But now we have an intent around speed, around obstacles. First try on camera, and I'm gonna throw the ball. It's gonna drop close to the last cone. I'm gonna run around the cones. After it lands, I'm gonna try and catch it before it bounces again. So here we go. Boom! Oh! So now I can do that and go back. Now I haven't really gone back this way. Here we go. So you can set up the cones in any specific manner. If you're a D tackle, you want these cones to be a little bit tighter where you're scraping down the line. We can even get creative where we're gonna have more lateral movement. Think about a 5-10-5. You've got an athlete who sucks at the 5-10-5. You've got somebody who's a basketball player that's not very good laterally. A tennis player, they're really good forward, backward, they got a crazy serve, but they're not as good laterally. Something that you could do is you start here. You teach them with slow drills how to cross step, get here, come out, and if you have that ball going, now they have to make the play. So I'm gonna see if I can do this. Here, boom, boom, boom. It's a little bit easier when you got your coach or a training partner to do this, but this is an absolutely fantastic drill to try and increase your lateral speed as well as the speed around other obstacles. Do this for about 5 sets, maybe 2 times to each side. So you've all seen the garage strength contrast method where we do absolute strength movements with a reflexive movement. And I love to do that, especially if we have athletes come in and we can identify that they're open, skilled athletes. We've got to throw everything at them. We got to get them stronger. We got to get them bigger, but we also have to get them faster and more explosive. And we can do that by pairing the lacrosse ball drop or the tennis ball drop with a reflexive movement. When we talk about a reflexive movement, we want to emulate things that are challenging. I'm gonna show you the final outcome that we're gonna work towards, and then I'm gonna show you how you can chunk this and start to learn the progression to get to the point of executing it very, very well. The first thing that we're gonna do, pick up a single leg roller, available at garagestrength.com, along with that single leg pad. Now, so we're gonna get here, we're gonna do a full single leg drop, a snatch, catch, boom, 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 boom. So there's a lot of change of direction. You're being explosive. You're getting back into that quarter squat position, and then you're gonna reset, go back down into that single leg aspect. Now, we've got to use chunking to get to this point. And chunking is a very key theory that we use in developing our app, Peak Strength. We use chunking to help with progressions of periodization, to help athletes make that progress throughout their training. One of the hardest parts around speed-based training is knowing how to get stronger, and then knowing when to have things like plyometrics on an athlete day, and then knowing how to pair that with speed-based training. So you can start just doing a single leg squat holding the dumbbell. Now, the next aspect would be, I wanna do a single leg squat, boom. Simple, without even holding anything. I'm gonna come down, drive up, catch. Do that slowly. Your body's gotta learn it, your brain's gotta learn it. Boom. It's a skill, it's a skill. The more we practice skills, the easier it becomes for your body to just get it done out on the field. This is the final part of the chunk. Come down, up, hit, back down. Boom. So if you notice, you pause back in that flexion point. It's gonna be similar to where you're cutting with the lacrosse drill. This is a complex movement pattern, but done with a minimal amount of equipment. So when you would download Peak Strength, you can actually inform the app, how much equipment do you have? How many days a week will you be training? What sport specifically are you gearing your actual training towards? These are all things that make periodization and make training for freaks very complicated, but fortunately with Peak Strength, we make it that easy for you to attain that peak strength. Remember, crazy cuts are the key behind chaos. And I'm gonna give you one of my all-time favorite movements that's gonna lead to absolute crazy speed development. Now, we've gotta learn these movements through chunks. So that might look like, here, I'm gonna be dropping, changing direction, and actually running the opposite way. I'm gonna jump here and come out of that with a sprint. So we can warm up both sides, drop, boom, boom. And we wanna think about coming out of those cuts here when I land, boom. I want this to come back here. I don't want to cross myself up. So we can train our athletes, or if you're a self-motivated athlete, you're watching this video, you can use this cool positioning to learn how to get out of those cuts a little more effectively. But that's going to lead us into the reckless V jump. So in the reckless jump, we're going to drop off of a box. We're going to face away from our final destination, not the crappy movies from the 90s. But actually the drill. We're gonna drop off the box, we're gonna jump 90 degrees over a hurdle. Then we're gonna land and we're gonna jump another 90 degrees, and then we're gonna land and sprint out of that position. So this teaches us, one, bilateral landing, two, how to change direction and have that trunk control, and then three, land and get out as quickly as possible. So this is gonna be similar to what basketball players might be doing, coming down with a rebound, landing on 2 feet, and getting out of that as quickly as possible. So the reckless V jumps are a drill that you can use to increase your speed, to improve your elasticity, and then ultimately become a freak in whatever sport you're playing. Have you ever heard of velocity decrement training? If we look at sprinting, let's say 10 meters, and we can get that done in 1 second with just our body weight, if we would add the tool, the velocity decrement would take us to 1.35 seconds. So we're adding 35%. So what researchers have looked at is, if you train at 35% of a velocity decrement versus 55% of a velocity decrement, you will see a better acute response with that 35% decrement. And this can be done with a hill, but in most cases, in most research we've seen, it's done with a sled. And so we can use velocity decrement training as a means, one, to get an immediate response for speed improvements, And then 2, to also help teach specific mechanics. Now, the other big aspect around this is that in the past, most people would do a lighter sled-based training. So if you don't have access to an iPhone or any type of tool that's really gonna be accurate as far as measuring your velocity decrement, just use this simple equation here. All you have to do is take about 8 to 10% of your body weight. I would put 10% of my body weight on the sled. If I weigh 220, I'd put about 20 to 25 pounds. That's the best way if you don't have access to crazy tools. Now, if you have access to a sled, I would recommend doing about 8 to 10 sets in different start positions. And then you could potentially, even if you do have an iPhone, record yourself without this after about 4 to 5 minutes rest and see what your speed response is. I like to use a sled here where you immediately have tension and we're actually in a kneeling start. So we're here and then just driving forward. That's a really good way to improve that start position and that acceleration. So I'm gonna demonstrate again here. Let me get a little bit of tension right here. I'm gonna set my knee with my start that I would have if I was running a 40. Okay, I wanna think about my steep shin angles. I wanna come forward here and come out of that as rapidly as possible. Now, you wanna focus on those technical positions. You wanna focus on driving. You wanna focus on getting the shin angle in line with your torso, and that's gonna help you improve your overall speed. Use all of these methods to become faster. Make sure you understand the concepts around chaos coordination, unilateral explosiveness, and bilateral explosiveness. And if you guys want easy access to freak training, head over to peakstrength.app, the Google Play Store, or the Apple iOS Store. You can download Peak Strength today for 5 free workouts. And if you're an athlete, you can choose from over 35 different sports to have a customized program specific to your needs and your specific sport. Because remember, freaks, if you want to become a champion, you've always got to cultivate your power. Peace.